Hello, hello everyone. Thank you very much for being with us. In this video, I'm going to talk about understanding the changes process or the changes during the facilitation process. Um, so in this video, I'm going to talk about I will be speaking about how change happens during facilitation process and what it looks like, or how we can recognize it. And the most important thing is how we as a facilitators can respond intentionally. The most important point is like intentionally how we can respond to these changes during the facilitation work, or during those workshops and meeting or gatherings that we are organizing in order to facilitate a discussion. And also, I will reflect on some examples from the real cases in most of the time, and also uh, code some of the important um, outcomes or understanding or key points on this process from scholars who've been working on the facilitation process for a long time, and especially in peace building and facilitation in this field overall. Before going to talk about the changes during the facilitation process, you might wonder to know what is facilitation in fact, and to better understand the changes during facilitation process. So when we talk about facilitation, we are not just talk about managing a meeting. Um, so in a real word, when you talk about facilitation, that means it will come automatically into your mind that, okay, we are talking about arranging, we are talking about a meeting, we are talking about a gathering, we are talking about a group talk, we are talking about people to people talk, or different ideas, um, sharing their thought. That that's true. So those are all the means for facilitation. But it is also about creating a process. Is a whole um, process where people can move from disconnection to understanding. That means like a group of people or two people or a group of individuals or different opponents. They are not connected, or somehow they are disconnected from an issue or from struggling on an issue, and they are now trying to connect together. And when you do this arrangement in order to speak with each other and come up with a common ground understanding, that is the process. It is start from somewhere, it ends somewhere with a result, with a common understanding between the parties, and that is the process is called facilitation process. Or also we can say when a group is changing or moving from resistance to openness, uh, or from a reluctant process or mindset into sharing concept or idea. So that is what we mean to do the facilitation. And or we are talking about um, changing a situation from conflict into cooperation, where the groups are divided into different understandings, different goals, but now they are cooperating, they are sharing information with each other in order to have a one common um, goal. Um, One of the scholars, Adam, on his book, the Power and Love, he actually has a definition for the facilitation. And he says facilitation is about helping people work together across their differences to address their most important and intractable challenges. Um, in it, that being said, facilitation is considered to be both an art and also it's a discipline. It is a process of experience. Some people learn it the process. Some people do it based on an experience or actually working in the field. They might have lots of clue, but those who are learning like us, everything from the scratch based on the principles, based on the guidance, based on the instructions, is helpful. And also it's an art, like how you really talk with people, how you really let the people talk with each other. That is not an easy job, especially in different environments, in different cultures, different contexts. It is never gonna be an easy process to let the people talk with each other, especially peacefully, or from a concept of um, being in conflict with each other, disagreements, disconnection, into a connection, into cooperation, into an openness. That is the work of um, facilitators, and that is not um, an easy process, especially when we are talking about the facilitation. We are talking about the ground in presence. So especially the most important point is we are doing everything intentionally and rational work. Um, so when we when we are talking about the changes, we need to know how these changes really happen during the facilitation process. So how we move from one step to another step, how we let the people change their mentality, their ideas, their thoughts from one concept to another concept. Um, there are so many ways. There are so many methods or that change happen, but mainly when the changes happening, it happen into three ways. The first way is cognitive change. In cognitive change, people start to think differently. The opponent groups or the parties that they're working that they are speaking with each other, or that they are not disconnected people, they start thinking differently. They're thinking like, okay, the way that we were going all the way, that was not the way that we supposed to do it or continue it for our kids, or keep it active in the future. That their mentality changes about the incident, or it can also happen like emotional changes. People begin to feel differently, um, completely mentality or psychologically they start feeling like, okay, no, this is not a good way of doing things, let's do it this way. Or it is re- relational change. When it comes to the groups, they start relationships evolve or reform. Um, so they think that, okay, the way that we were speaking with this group, or we were in contact with this group, that needs to be changed. We are opponents for a long time. We need to reintroduce our understanding, and we need to re-elaborate the way of thinking about the other opponents or group. So if we were in fighting for a long time, we need to change how we can cooperate with each other in order to come up with a great outcome. At least we can end the struggle or that conflict. So the the next question that might come up into your mind is that we were talking about the change. Is it always visible? Can you all the time understand the changes? The answer is like no, all the time it's not visible, but there are ways that you can understand if the changes happen or not. Change is often invisible at first. The first time, it might appear as a shift in tone, in posture, and even silence. So if someone is speaking a lot during the process, and you see like in the facilitation process during the work during the workshop, you see that okay, they start speaking less, or they're silent now, or someone is not speaking, or a silent participant now start talking about or giving idea or giving out opinions. That's a change, but that's not visible. As a facilitator, you only can understand the changes. You know what I mean? Like person sitting in the corner of the room for a long time has no idea, no opponents, just a silent guy. But later on, you see the participation, you see contribution to the discussions. That's how you see the changes. Um, so in a lot of, based on my experiences in a lot of workshops and groups works, I've seen that there are members that they don't speak with each other. They are opponents for a long time. They're disconnected from each other. But during the process or dialogues or working together, or during this arrangements, meeting, whatever you call it, jerga or whatever, you see the other party is presenting a glass of tea to the other party. That's a change. So the way that they were thinking, like in the past, they were against each other. They're always in conflicts against each other. But now you see that one side is presenting a glass of tea to the other side. That's a change. As a facilitator, you know it better, but they know it each other, but that might not be something visible, very visible. So that's why Meg, one of the scholars on this field, saying that in organizations, real change happens in the pause between conversations. So that's really true, really true. In lots of other situations, especially if it comes to my country, the facilitation process, or when I was in a workshop, and regarding inclusion of women in the peace dialogues, or participation of youths, or access to education, all the time, male elders initially dismissed the value of women inputs into the discussions, but during the normal day, when one of the women participants start talking about his son who been in conflict for the time for the long time, and left behind from all his education, and hurts a lot, that kind of sensitivity, or that kind of stories that the women share with the other participants, they start feeling the woman, and the other participants, male participants, they start understanding her, and start cooperating, or start talking with the woman, or the importance of women's inclusion in a lots of groups and discussions. And when so when you see this from a scholar perspective, Lisa um, called this like um, dialogical dialogue dialogically empathy, and she said that the capacity to listen and feel with others across differences, that's how you can feel that changes. um, when we talk about changes, the next question would come into our mind is what supports changes. um, when we try to change the method, the attitude, the understanding, the thought, the, this connection to a disconnection to connection, how what supports, what are the elements that really help this process? um, there are so many of things. You can name it whatever, including that could be from listening perspective, you could be from cooperation perspective, from empathy, sympathy, from being an active participants, being a great facilitation process, the organization, the environment, the member selection, everything has its own um, direct or indirect effects into the process or supporting the process at all. But there are some key elements which can help a lot in this process. And that first thing could be psychological safety. When the people mentally thinking that, okay, I am safe in this process, this would be a great opportunity to talk with the other side. It is a time that the member or the participants or the group will keep their intention to continue working within the group. If that safety is that the psychological safety is not there, then they will try to stay away or at least not participate. Trust building is one of the most important point. Same talk that we um, try to have inside the group, that should be um, reflect with our discussions outside the groups, or when we talk about the process or something inside the workshops or meeting or gathering, whatever, it should reflect the same content of information to outsiders, to community, to elders, to groups, to families, to everyone. So if you have a difference between what you have gone through within the workshop and you're going out reflecting something different, that is the time that the trust will be broken between the members. Or if you're talking about something different between the members, that is too dangerous for a facilitation process. Balance power is one of the most important thing. Influence of participants and in the group involvement in the discussions, bringing all the giving the chance to everyone on the same time, decision making within the group, how that can be managed in order to have a safe environment for everybody to feel that, okay, they have something to say or someone is there to hear what they have to say. um, so decision making process should be very clear. Clear process, that the whole process should be very clear, step by step, working with the participants. Okay, how we are gonna talk about this process, or how this process will looks like in a few minutes, in a few hours, in a few days. where we're going to start it, and what would be the outcome that we are looking for. Or that big why question should be very clear, or what question should be clear, or where questions should be clear for all the participants, um, uh, interchangeably between all the participants. Um, Janetta Brown, the developer of the word cafe mate, he um, she says that when we invite people into conversation, that matters. That transformation becomes possible. That means, like, if you are invited somewhere, these facilitation process is really invitation. So you are inviting groups to come and speak about something. So when you're talking, she said, like, okay, this invitation, when you invite somebody in a group, in a for a process, in a meeting, in a gathering, that's really matter, that the other side feels like safe. Okay, I am important, that been invited in, into a process or a group work. um, so when we talk about this whole changes process, you might um, say that, okay, the resistance, how about the resistance? The resistance might be there. True, that resistance to change is natural. So any group, any work, any gathering, any meeting, anywhere, differences are there. So resistance would be there. People will stand against something, but that doesn't mean that the facilitation process shouldn't be organized. So if you are a facilitator and a skilled facilitator, you need to understand these roadblocks in front of you, and you have to or recognize that, okay, there are certain times, or in a lot of cases, that you will face with challenges of people with different mentalities, or during or before that, or in the middle or at the end. Every time it's possible that to happen, that people are sharing different, or they start thinking differently, because this whole process is just the matter of like speaking, talking, discussion. So that's why it is important to understand that this resistance can be very natural. Not all changes welcome. That's why resistance is part of our journey. So um, Ronald, um, the author of Leadership Without Easy Answers, um, he says that people don't resist change, they resist loss, because in the process, some people will lose something. That some people, they have to show their agreement with something that they were not agreed before. So that's why, if you are against something, or against someone, or against some process, but during the talk dialogues you agreed to do something against your will, that is a time that the people will start resisting. And that resistance because of the loss, not because of the change. So it is the facilitators that must honor the fears behind resistance, while guiding the group forward. So it is a very important point. So we a little talked about the signs, or how we know that the changes really happened. There are a few signs, and those signs could be from a silent person to a speaker person, or vice versa, from a speaker person to a silent person, or from a talkative person to silent person, or from a silent silent person to a talkative or less talk people. Those are all the signs that you can see during the facilitation process. Or it can be a hard stance. It gets to soften. So those are all the signs that you can recognize. Um, when the participants mentality change from a mentality of they change into we, that's a sign. So if you're noticing that, okay, a participant previously were talking that, okay, they or that group did this against us, and they say like they should be responsible for that, and you're seeing the change, the tune is changed from they to we, so we need to change this thing, we need to do it this way. That's how this facilitation dialogue really works. And they start talking um, about it. So in this process, the facilitator's role is very crucial, very important. And as change unfolds, our roles as a facilitators or scholars in this field is getting very hot and very interesting, and we need to work on few very important issues, and that um, issues are holding the process with care. So you need to be very careful with the process. From start of the process to end of the process, you need to be very careful. And we need to have that skills to ask reflective questions, open-ended questions, like how those questions should really be managed in a way to bring people to start talking with each other, or participation of the participants um, should be taken into consideration in this process. Modeling vulnerability and the presence is one of the key job or efforts of the facilitators. Naming what's emerging, very important. Priya Parker emphasized on the art of gathering. She says that the facilitator's job is to protect the purpose and guide the energy toward it. So the whole process is that facilitator should use both from the skill and from the art, and all the way that is possible to manage people, or that skills of managing people, or managing the thoughts, managing the process. Everything is like just an experience that you have to hold in order to have a better understanding of the process. So in here, I'm gonna close my this reflection with a quote. So there's a book, the best of enemies, published in 2019, which is dramatized the real life of transformation between a black and civil rights to a leader and a KKK leader. There's a very great quote, and it says that the heart is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. It's really the matter of the practice. That's what I say. Like the more you exercise on your muscle, the more it gets stronger. So that's more important, that you need to practice all the aspects. You need to practice ways of talking people differently, different methods and different understanding, in order to get to a result. As a facilitator, our job is not to fix people, in fact, but to create a space where their own change can emerge. Uh, so for that, I would say that let's continue doing this process, but um, scared work, and let's do it together, not individually. So this process is not a process of single person effort. So it is a group effort, and you need to be ready for that, and you have to hold that skills and talent to speak with people in a way they like it, and a way to bring changes into their life, into their community, into their social gatherings. Thank you for watching. You have a good rest of your day.